Venatata v'tehorahi. The soul that you, my God, has given me is pure. Got a clean slate, add good things to it for today. On page 65, do a combination of the Hebrew and the English. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, enabling us to distinguish day from night. Love to hear those amens, because you get credit for the bracha, whether you say the bracha or not, if you say amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, making me in the divine image.
Amen.
Terrific. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, making me a Jew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, making me free. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, giving sight to the blind. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, clothing the naked. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, releasing the bound. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, raising the downtrodden. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, creating the heavens and the earth. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, providing for all my needs. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, guiding us on our path. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, strengthening the people of Israel with courage. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, crowning the people of Israel with glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, restoring vigor to the weary. And at this point I always add a prayer, personal prayer or public prayer, for something that I'm thankful for today. And I'm thankful to see my friend Bluma here.
Oh, I'll add I'm thankful to see you too.
The last 5 lines in the Hebrew, in the English, even better. May we find grace, love, and compassion in your sight, in the sight of all who look upon us this day and every day. Grant us the full measure of loving kindness. Praise to you, Adonai, who bestows loving kindness upon God's people, Israel. We are on page 83. Baruch Shamar, V'hayalam, Baruch Hu, Baruch Oser, Bereshit, Baruch Omer, V'Oser, Baruch Gozer, U'Mekayim, Baruch Merachim, Al Orez, Baruch Merachim, Al Abriyot, Baruch Mishalom, Sachar Tov, L'Rayot, Baruch Chaylo, Ad V'Kayim, L'Netzach, Baruch Hodeh, U'Matzil, Baruch Shemahu. Yachid Chei Ha'olamim, Melech Meshubach Mefor, Adei Shmo Agadol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Melech Mulo, Batishbachot. Right. On the bottom of page 85, from the end of, well, this is the original, adapted by the Torah service as we first walk around with it. Bottom 4 lines. Romamu, Romamu, Adonai Eloheinu, V'hishtachavu, V'hishtachavu, L'chadom Raglav Kadoshu. Romamu, Romamu, Adonai Eloheinu, V'hishtachavu, V'hishtachavu, Leharkadsho, Leharkadsho, Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Page 86, middle of the page. Hoshia et amecha, uvarech et nachalotecha, ureim, 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 ureim v'nasem, ureim v'nasem ad ha'olam. Hoshia et amecha, uvarech et nachalotecha, ureim, 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 ureim v'nasem, ureim v'nasem ad ha'olam. I shall sing to Adonai, for God has been bountiful to us. In the middle of the page 87, We have the song Torah Hashem Tamima. Torah Adonai Tamima. Torah Adonai Tamima. Torah Adonai Tamima. Meshivat Nafesh. Eidut Adonai Nemana. Nemana. Machimat Petzi. Pikudei Adonai Yesharim. Pikudei Adonai Yesharim. Pikudei Adonai Yesharim. Mesamchei Lev. Mitzvat Adonai Bara. Bara. Meirat Einayim. Yirat Adonai Tahora. Yirat Adonai Tahora. Yirat Adonai Tahora. Omed et Lawad. Mishpetei Adonai Emet. Emet. Tzadku Yachdav. Middle of page 88. Miha-ish. Miha-ish. Hechafetz chayim. Ohev yamim. Ohev yamim. Liradov. Nitzar l'sham chameira. Usfatecha. Midaber mirma. Sur meira vaseto. Bakei shalom v'rodfehu. Back to the top. Miha-ish hechafetz chayim. Ohev nomim. Ohev yamim. Liratov. Top of 92. Bottom two lines. No tain lechem lichol basar kili olam kasdo. Hodu liel hashamayim kili olam kasdo. Page 94, the song for Shabbat. Mizmor shir liyom hashabat, tov lechodov la'adonai, u'lezamer l'shimcha elyon, u'lezamer l'shimcha elyon, l'hagid b'boker chazdecha, v'emunatecha b'leilav, alei asar b'alei novel, alei higayam b'chinor, mizmor shir liyom hashabat, tov lechodov la'adonai, u'lezamer l'shimcha elyon, u'lezamer l'shimcha elyon, ki simachtani Adonai b'folecha, v'maseh yadecha aranein, ma gadlu masecha Adonai mi'od amku machshavotecha, mizmor shir liyom hashabat, tov lechodov la'adonai. Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Last 6 lines of the Hebrew page. Sadikatamar Yifra Ki Erez Bavanan Yizgeshetulim Beveit Adonai Bechatzrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvun V'Seva V'Shenim V'Rananim Yiyu L'Hagid Ki Asher Adonai Tzuri V'Lo Avlotavam. On page 96, Ashrei Yoshrei V'Techa Od Yalu Chasel L'Asher Shekachal L'Asher Shadonai L'Hav Tila L'David. Tov Adonai Lakov Rachamav Kol Ma'asa Malchutcha L'Olamim U'Memshaltecha B'Chol Dor V'Dor. You open your hand, your favor sustains all the living. Sadik Adonai B'Chol Drachav V'Hasim B'Chol Masav V'Chol Karav. Tehillat Adonai Yedaber Piv Yivarech Kavosar Shem Kachel Yalam V'Oed V'Anachnu Nevarchia Me'ata V'Yad Olam. Hallelujah. On page 96, I'm sorry, 99.
The numbers look alike.
What's that?
The numbers look alike.
Having some here. It must be the beginning of the allergy season. It's like delayed, but all of a sudden the pollens have hit my eyes.
Yeah, I gotta say,
If you see me dabbing my eyes, it's not because you bring tears to my eyes, but it's because
it's your transported by emotion.
And
tomorrow you'll have to explain this. Tomorrow when we celebrate Israel's 70th birthday,
yeah.
Maybe then you'll have to explain that you are not emotional.
Okay. Anyway, we had a little snippet from when we took the Torah out, when we said Romamu. Well, this is the other half, when you bring the Torah back. Hallelujah. So we're on the bottom of page 99. And you'll excuse my occasional not seeing things perfectly. Hallelujah, et Shem Adonai, ki niskav shemo levado, hodo al eretz v'shamayim, vayarem keren liyamo, tehila l'chol chasidav, livnei Yisrael am kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Question. What idea to take away from when we turn the Torah to have it here before? When we return this, it's something very high. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
So why they are having this now here before taking the Torah?
Because this is the song that it originally comes from. This is the chapter in Tehillim, in close to the end, 148. So as you can see, what we do, you're actually supposed to read Tehillim every day and take part of it. And so if you notice, from the Ashrayan, Psalm 145, we do 146, 147, 148, and we go to the end to 150. So this is just included. It's not that we took from the Torah ceremony and put it here. The Torah ceremony took from here and put it there. So it's a little different as to which came first. So this is just part of that particular. I think it was 148. You said, yeah, 148. So. And so what we're doing is we're acting as if we finished the whole Tehillim, as if we're doing it every day. There are various schemes. You can divide up the book of Tehillim. Remember, it's our first prayer book. You can divide it up into sevenths. The more popular scheme is to divide it up into 30 days, because the Hebrew month is 30 days. And if you just read a few chapters every day, you can do the book of Tehillim every month, in a sense.
When was that laid down? The Tehillim? Was that...
When's it written?
Was time of the temple? Was it...
Yeah. Luma, any thoughts? Okay. All right. So, page 100.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, 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 El Bikacho, hallelujah, hallelujah, Birki Yahuzo, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, big vurotav. Hallelujah, hallelujah, karav good love. Hallelujah, 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 b'teika shofar. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'nei velvet chinor. Hallelujah, 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 b'tof umachol. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'minim ve'ugav. Hallelujah, 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 b'tziltzilei shama. Hallelujah, hallelujah, b'tziltzilei truah. Kol hanshama tehallel, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol hanshama tehallel, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. On page 104, the bridge between the Pesukei de Zimra into Shacharit. We start with the Shacharit, the Shohei tune over here. Nishmat kochai tvarek et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu. Baruch Haba Sefer. Haminag Olama b'chesed riyos avraham Adonai layanam v'lo yisham. Ilu finu malay shirot ha'yal shanenu v'in nagamanam. The last paragraph on the English side of 104, together from Egypt you redeemed us, from the house of bondage you delivered us, in famine you've nourished us, in prosperity you sustained us, you rescued us from the sword, protected us from pestilence, and saved us from severe and lingering disease. To this day your compassion has sustained us, your kindness has not forsaken us, never abandon us, Adonai our God. We're on page 105. Hamelech hayoshev, akisei ram v'nisa, shokenad maharam v'kadosh shemahu. B'fi Yishurim Tithalal, Divrei Tzadikim Titbarach, U'B'Lashon Chasidim Titramam, U'B'Kerev Kedoshim Titkadash, U'B'Makalot Rivavot Amcha Beit Yisrael. Al Kol Divrei Shirot Tishbachah, David Ben Yishai, Avdecha Meshichecha, 106. Yishtabach Shimcha Lawad Malkeinu El Shir Ushvacha Halel B'Zimra Brachot V'Hodaot Me'atzav Yad Olam Baruch Atah Adonai El Melech Gadol Batishbachot El HaHodaot Adon HaNiflaot Abocher B'Shirei Zimra Melech Elchei HaOlamim. On page 107, we say together the bracha, lines 3 and 4. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Yotzer Or Uvorei Choshech Oseh Shalom Uvorei Et HaKol HaKol Yaducha V'Kol Yishachucha. All creatures praise you, all declare there's none holier than Adonai. En Kierka Evangelosach of Eswilkamino Milta. En Kierka Hadonai Leno Beolam Azev Ezulot Chamakein Ulachaye Ha'olam Haba. Efes Viltacha Go Aleinu Limot HaMashiach. V'endo Melecha Moshienu V'Tchiyat HaMeitim. 108. El Adon Al Kol HaMasim Baruch. Barach B'fi Kol Nishama Gadlo V'Tuvo Malei Olam Da'at Utvuna Asovivimoto Hamika Ve'al Chayot HaKodesh Nedor B'Chavod Al Chamerkava Zechut Umishor Lifnei Chiso Chesed V'Rachamim Lifnei Chivodo Tovim V'Yorod Shebara Eloheinu Yitzaram B'Da'at B'Vina Ufaskel Koach Uvura Natan Bahem Liot Moshlim B'Kerev Tevel Maleim Ziv Ufikim Noga Noah Zivam B'Chol Ha'olam Semechim B'Tzeitam V'Sasim B'Voam Osim B'Yem Aritzon Konam B'Her B'Chavod Notnim Lishma Zahalma V'Rina L'Zecher Malchuto Karam L'Shemesh V'Yisrachor Ra'a V'Hitkin Surat Halvana Shevach Notnim Lo Kol Tzva Maharam Tiferet Ugedula Zerafim V'Ofanim V'Chayot HaKodesh Naila Mizmor Sheli HaMashabat Tov L'Hodol Adonai L'Chichot Yifor V'Vorchu V'Ayel Hashem Amacha Menucha Tifbarach Mosheinu Al Shavach Maseh Yodecha V'Marosha Sito Yifarucha Selva 110 Titbarach Zureinu Malkeinu V'Go Aleinu Borei Kedoshim Titbarach Zureinu Malkeinu V'Go Aleinu Borei Kedoshim Yishavach Shimcha Lawad Malkeinu Yotzim Shalom Kulam ahuvim, kulam berurim, kulam giborim, v'chol masumei levir rotzon kanam, v'chol pachim et piyam mikdash avatar b'shir v'zimrim v'varchim, u'mishachtim u'mufa'arim, maritzim u'makdeshim u'mamlichim, et shem ha'we'al ha'melech ha'gedol ha'gibar v'nara kadoshu, v'chol mekablim aleim al machot shamayim zeh mizeh v'novrim reshut zeh lazeh, like the Shiat Shabbanachat Ruch, the Safa Verov, and Imakid Dosha, Kul Kiacharonim, Kiomrim Beira, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Adonai Tzvaot, Melokal Haaretz Kivoto, Vafanim Echad HaKodesh, Barash Kadom Itnasim, Limat Serafim, Limatam Mishapim V'yomrim, Oro Kivod Adonai Mim Kahomo. Bottom of 110. Li'el Baruch Nimod Yiteinu L'melech Achai V'kayam Zmirot Yameru Tishbachot Yashmiyu Kihu Levado O'el Givurot Oseh Hadashot Bal Milchamot Zoreyat Tzedakot Matzmiach Yeshuot Orei Refuot No Ratahilot Adon Haniflaot Amechad Eshbetu V'Bechol Yom Tamid Masei Bereshit Ka'amur Liosei Orim Gedolim Ki Le'olam Chazdo Or Chadash Zion Ta'ir V'Nizkechu Lanu Mehera Li'oro Baruch Atah Adonai Yotzeh Hameyorot. 111. Ava Rabba Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu Chemla Gedola V'Teira Chamalta Aleinu Avinu Malkeinu Ba'avur Avoteinu Shebatu Becha Shebatu Becha Avinu Malkeinu V'Telamdem Chukei Chayim Kain Techaneinu Telamdeinu Avinu Ha'af Arachaman Amrachei Rachem Aleinu V'Teinu Libeinu Lehavin Lehavin L'Haskil Lishmoa Lilmo Lilamed Lishmar V'Lasad Ulkayem Et Kol Divrei Talmud Torah Techa B'Yava B'Chol Werinenu B'Torah Techa V'Dabek Libeinu V'Mitzvah Techa V'Yached Levaveinu Li'ahava U'yira Et Shemecha V'lo Nevosh Li'olam V'Oed V'lo Nevosh Li'olam V'Oed Ki B'Shem Kodshecha Agadol V'Hanora B'Tachnu Nagila v'nismecha b'shuatecha. As we take the corners of our talit together, symbolizing the four corners of the world, V'havienu l'shalom me'arba kanfot haaretz v'tolicheinu kom memiyut li'artzeinu ki el poel Yeshua otata uvanu v'charta mikolam v'lashon v'keravtanu l'shimcha agadol sela be'emet hodot lecha u'yachecha u'yachecha v'yava Baruch Adonai Avochem Amo Yisrael b'yava. 112. El Neman Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod V'Chutov Y'Olam V'Oed. V'Yahavta Et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol miyotecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'olet asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shiftecha v'beitecha u'b'lechtecha b'derech u'b'shaftecha u'b'korecha u'kshartam liot al yadecha v'hayu l'tatafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'isharecha. Happy is the one who obeys your mitzvot, who takes to heart the words of your Torah. Ram v'nisa gadol v'nara mashveh v'kei Magdi Ashefali Motzi Asirum Fotanavim Biozer Dalim Bion Eliamo Yisrael B'Eit Shabam Elav Tilot Li'avel Yam Brachum Bara Moshe B'nei Yisrael L'chan Shira V'simcha Rabba V'yamru Kulam Mi Kamo Kamo Elim Adonai Mi Kamo Edar Kodesh, Naharat Tehilo, Osei Felbet, Shirach Harashah, Sheklugilim Shepal Svat Hayam, Yachakol Modavim Lecho V'yamru, Adonai Yimloch Li'olam V'oed. If you're able to, we rise, Sur Yisrael, Kuma V'yezrat Yisrael, Uvdei Chinumecha, Yehuda v'Yisrael, Go Aleinu, Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai Goal Yisrael. The Silent Amidas on page 115b through 120. I can also commend to you the All English Meditation on 121 and 122. Somebody magically came in.
Maybe somebody will drift in on that.
What's that?
Cindy's away today.
Oh, she's
I need
one.
one person. Well, I have a huge ego I can count for two.
Sorry?
I have a huge ego I can count for two.
You can. two.
I count for two. Yeah.
Why don't you please go ahead and say your Kaddish then.
Alright. Alright, so I can say, I can see all this Kaddish.
This is his life. Send me people in message. Send me this one.
Amen.
So, yeah. There is actually, if you look up online, this is just a point of interest, that one of the Gaon from the
Can you talk louder so we can hear you too?
I haven't had enough coffee. One of the Gaon from the Babylonian Academy, actually, that, back in the day there was a need also that sometimes someone had to say Kaddish and there wasn't a minion or they were alone. You can imagine that, your daughter and Auburn, situations where Jews are isolated. So there's actually a canonical, hallowed by the authority of the sages and the ages, solo Kaddish out there. So that's a thing that can be done. But I guess it has to be a living tradition, right? It has to be a living tradition.
Sure.
The fact is that we're a small and aging congregation. So,
So-
And it's vacation week is the other fact.
oh, it's vacation week.
Yes.
Oh, that explains it.
All right.
Anyway, thank you.
That's why they stuck me with today. All right.
Uh,
All right.
This SPS.
How you doing? Very good. Space. It's space. I'm wearing Joan of Arc to synagogue. I didn't realize I had a t-shirt on this morning. Because I go and I teach fencing and I get sweaty, but same wearing nice. But yeah, it's hope in Latin. Space. Unfortunately, my Latin is way better than my Hebrew, which makes me a very bad Jew, I suppose. But not at all.
If you're here, happy to be a bad Jew.
You're here and you're saying Kaddish. That's all good.
Take care, Ken. Have a safe trip.
Is this your jacket, Ken?
Yeah.
All right.
Shabbat shalom.
Let's go back.
And it's good to see you.
Let's go back to page 117 for Yismach Moshe. Take care. Have a successful class.
Thank you.
Yismach Moshe b'matnat. Yismach Moshe b'matnat. Yismach Moshe b'matnat. B'matnat chelko. Ki eved neman. Ki eved neman. Karata lo. Kalil Tiferet, Kalil Tiferet, Birosho Natata. Yismach Moshe b'matnat. Yismach Moshe b'matnat. Yismach Moshe b'matnat. B'matnat elko. Line 3. B'yamda lefanecha, b'yamda lefanecha, al har Sinai. Ushnei luchot avanim, ushnei luchot avanim, orid b'yado. Back to the top. Yismach Moshe b'matnat. Yismach Moshe
b'matnat. Yismach Moshe
b'matnat, b'matnat chelko. V'chatu bahem, shemirat Shabbat. V'chein katuv, b'toratecha. Yismach Moshe b'matnat, Yismach Moshe b'matnat, Yismach Moshe b'matnat, b'matnat chelko. B'nei Yisrael Lasot et hashabat l'dorot berit olam. Vein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash. Bottom paragraph. Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu, Ritzei v'mnuchateinu, Kachenu b'mitzvotecha, V'tein chelkeinu b'toratecha, Tzarbeinu mituvecha, V'samcheinu b'shuatecha, V'taher libeinu L'yavdecha b'yemen, V'hanchileinu Adonai Eloheinu, V'yahava uvratzam Kadshecha, V'yanuchu v'Yisrael Mikadshei Shemecha, Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. On the left-hand side, the English side of 118, the bottom paragraph in the bigger letters. We proclaim that you are Adonai, our God, and God of our ancestors throughout all time. You are the rock of our lives, the shield of our salvation in every generation. We thank you and praise you for our lives that are in your hand, for our souls that are in your charge, for your miracles that daily attend us, and for your wonders and gifts that accompany us evening, morning, and noon. You are good, your mercy everlasting, you are compassionate, your kindness never ending. We have always placed our hope in you.
We can sing the Sim Shalom. 120, the Sim Shalom.
Yes.
You have to sing this.
Don't forget to sing it. Okay.
No, because there is all kind of melodies. I don't know
which one would you like?
I don't care. I love everything.
Lie, die, 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 lie, die, 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 lie, die, 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 lie, die, 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 lie, die, 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 lie, die, 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 Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha Chen V'chesed V'rachamim Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael Amecha Barkeinu Avinu Kulanu Ki Echad Kulanu Ki Echad V'yar Panecha Ki V'yar Panecha Natata Lanu Adonai Eloheinu Torah Chayim V'yavat Chesed Bracha v'rachamim v'chayim v'shalom v'tov v'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit uv'chol sha'ah b'chol eit uv'chol sha'ah b'shlomecha. Baruch atah Adonai ha'mevarech et amo Yisrael ha'mevarech et amo Yisrael ha'mevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom ha'mevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Bottom paragraph on the left-hand side. Grant me the privilege of the liberating joy of Shabbat, of truly tasting its delights. May I be undisturbed by sorrow during these holy Shabbat hours. Fill my heart with gladness, for to you, Adonai, I offer my entire being. Help me to expand the dimensions of all of Shabbat's pleasures, to extend its spirits to the other days of the week. Show me the path of life, the fullness of your presence, the bliss of being close to you forever. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. May the one who brings peace to bring peace to all of us and to all the people of Israel. Amen. Ahoseh shalom b'mrama, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, v'chol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'chol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu v'yachol Yisrael, v'imru amen. All right. So we have been studying Pirkei Avot. And I know it feels like we're making slow progress, but we're only here about once a month, so what can you do with that? But we are actually at the midpoint, just about at the midpoint. And I promised you a siyum, a party, for when we finish the 6th chapter, and we're at the end, towards the end of the 3rd chapter. So I'm going to have you turn to page 267. 267, it's all in here.
Which one?
And we're in Mishnah 20. We are in the midst of studying what Rabbi Akiva taught.
Isn't this parasha, Tashavua, is also to do with Rabbi Akiva?
In what way?
When I get to the parasha.
Okay. So, Joan, can I have you read number 20?
Yet another teaching of Rabbi Akiva. Everything is alone against a pledge. A net is spread over all the living. The shop is open. The shopkeeper extends credit. The ledger is open. The hand records. Whoever would borrow may do so. The collectors make their rounds daily. They exact payment from everyone, with or without consent. They have a reliable record, the verdict is a just one, and everything is ready for the final accounting. Perfect to talk about on Shabbat.
Okay, all right. So there's no writing on Shabbat, but everything is recorded. Any thoughts as to what he's trying to say here?
Yeah,
267.
267.
but I don't see what you were talking about.
Number 20.
20 on the left.
Yeah, and half on the right.
Okay.
Yeah, half on the right. It doesn't sound the same in English and Hebrew?
No,
What does it mean in Hebrew?
I don't know. I listen to what she said. Rabbi Akiva, and I'm looking where she's.
Oh, I know, that was me.
She-
I took it from 19, because
Oh, okay.
it said yet another teaching.
Okay.
All right. That's
At least you know that I'm listening to what you're saying.
Yes, right.
all right.
It doesn't miss anything.
You lost me at Rabbi Akiva. You had me at Rabbi Akiva. Any thoughts as to what Rabbi Akiva is saying in a ton of detail?
It actually sounds a little disturbing.
Okay.
It calls it a net is spread out as though to trap. Why does it sound so negative? When you say a net, it's almost like you're trying to trap something.
Or
Okay.
shelter it.
Is
It could be sheltered.
but can you look at the Hebrew umitsuda?
Mitsuda is a trap, no?
Is it a trap?
I think so.
Okay.
Nita, what does Mitsuda mean to you? Mitsuda?
I see.
It's like the Shansai, no? Like hunting, trapping.
I cannot translate this.
It's like the second.
It's
Outside of-
something that close on them.
Okay.
Metsuda is the.
All right.
I could try that. Yeah.
So to me, it just connotes like someone that.
All right.
Everything
If,
is ready.
if you could ignore that and you go to the rest of it, what does the rest of it sound like, though?
Is
You
he,
know, I'm laughing when I read this because she asked me to talk about my childhood in Israel.
Yeah.
And this one of the things that I remember, the store. You didn't pay money. You all had, writing what you bought, and you never knew how much they cheated you when came the end of the month to pay. So I'm looking at this and I'm laughing.
All right. So be sure that God doesn't cheat you. That we get all these great opportunities are granted to man on the pledge that he will utilize these opportunities for good and for godly reasons. So we get, most of us don't live in the most abject situations. We live in pretty comfortable situations. We drove a nice car here, and it actually didn't break down on the way. And you don't live in a hovel. You live in a decent in a decent place, and none of us are starving. So we've got great opportunities, but the question is, what are you going to do with it? Because for all this credit that God extends us, He expects something from us. You could never get out, the debt never gets canceled. It doesn't get, we don't pay, interest on it, in a sense. You just have to give back to God what He gives you, and no one can evade His responsibilities. This is what I think Rabbi Akiva is trying to say. No one can evade His responsibilities. It's noblesse oblige is the Latin term. That's all the Latin I know. Maybe Ken knows better, but he's not here. So that if you are given royal privileges, that you should act like royalty, and be kind and do mitzvot. We are. God acts to us as if we're worthy, But then you have to go out and show that you're worthy. You have to do those worthy things. Because otherwise you'll come at the end of days and you'll be asked, what did you do with your privileges that you got? And the answer is, the verdict is a just one, and everything is ready for the final accounting. And of course, this is we're in a country where everybody lives a little above their means, everybody needs a little kick in the bum to be reminded that you can't declare bankruptcy and wipe out your debts. You have to be a big real estate mogul to get your debts wiped out. Otherwise, you have to pay. At the end, you have to pay. And so the question is, at the end of your days, what have you done with the privileges that Hashem has given you?
It sounds like when you do a credit check, you're pledged to do well with whatever you're given on credit. That's the pledge.
Yeah.
And you're accountable for that pledge.
Okay. Any other thoughts about that?
And then in the last two lines, in the end, the verdict is a just verdict. So he's implying that there's, not implying, he's saying it's going to be a fair verdict. And everything comes before a final accounting. Everything, there's a final accounting for everyone.
One of the authors I was reading about as I prepared for this had a comment, and it was that atheism in ancient times was not that they were denying God's existence, but they denied that God cared. That God cared for there to be justice. And of course, if you see some injustice in the world, you say, well, maybe God doesn't care. But in truth, once we have free will, people are going to do as they're going to do, and as 7 billion people on the face of the earth, people are not always going to be kind to others. But that's not evidence that God doesn't care. Because if you live your life as if God doesn't care, then horrible things will come out of it. So what Rabbi Akiva is saying is, in a sense, from this author, is that God does care. And if you live your life that way, then you have nothing to worry about at the end of days. Any other thoughts?
I would say this is different. If you live this way, you should be responsible what will happen in the end. If you are living right and everything, so will be nice. But otherwise, if you go bankruptcy, it's your fault. You didn't know how to live your life.
Sure. And it's another part of 19. The world is judged favorably, but all depends on the preponderance of good deeds. So, come with a ledger that says I did a lot of mitzvot, I had a few averot. After all, you got to have something to have charata for on Yom Kippur that you regret what you did. I'm not telling you to go out and do a lot of bad stuff, but there's always going to be something where you weren't perfect. Like the people who put the covers over their heads on Thursday and didn't come here for Yom HaAtzmaut service. There's the time that you didn't give tzedakah when you could have. I mean, there are things that we're going to regret, but come to that final judgment, as it says in 19, on the preponderance of good deeds. Have a big ledger that shows good deeds and very few averot. And again, there's two types of averot: bein adam Hashem and bein adam Adam, from man to God. And so, if you violated the Shabbat, that's one level. But hurting hurting another person is even a higher level, because God won't, you know, as we say in Yom Kippur, God can't forgive you for that. You have to go to that person and ask for mechila, for forgiveness. So you really want to gather mitzvot. And even though you think that this mitzvah is not so important, we tell you in Pirkei Avot, never assume that it's a mitzvah kal, that it's such an easy mitzvah that it can barely count. Just add to the ledger. Add to the ledger. So before we leave this, any other thoughts about?
I have a question.
Yeah.
You said Rabbi Akiva said that something, and I don't know what that something was, proved that God does care, and that the atheists of previous times said.
No, it's not proof. It's just his message. His message is that it's not proof of anything. It's just that his message in a world, if you think about the time of Rabbi Akiva, that people believed in gods, but they didn't think that those gods cared. So when you talk about atheism, you're talking about a pagan world. You know, they may have had many gods: God of the sun, and God of the moon, and God of the land, and God of the rain. But that these gods actually cared what we did personally. We have just one God in a sense, and that God does care. So there is a verdict at the end, and the atheist of that era said there is no verdict. You know, you live your life. That's where we talk about hedonism. What's an apikoros? It's from that Greek word Epicurean. Now we talk about Epicureans as somebody that likes fine wine and fine food, but the term apikoros was basically someone that said there is no final cheshbon at the end. There's no final accounting. So get all the pleasure you can out of life. And so, even though right now for us, apikoros means somebody that denies the existence of God, it originally started out as somebody who denied that there is an accounting at the end, and all the pleasure that you can get out of life is all you should care about, and don't worry about about final accounting, because there isn't one. So that's what Akiva is saying versus the apikoros of the time. So, because our translation of apikoros is somebody that's that's an atheist that denies the existence of God. But it originally came to mean somebody that denies that there's a consequence. All right. So what do? We don't have a minion. We can't read the Torah reading. So I struggled with what we would talk about today. Yes.
You could read the Torah reading in English or in Hebrew from the Chumash.
Okay.
Not treat it as though I'm taking it out.
Okay.
We do that on Monday.
All right. So what did you study on Monday?
It's not my decision. You can talk to the president and see what she wants to do.
Okay. Well, I do want to do a little Torah study too today, but.
No, I don't want to do a Torah study. I just want to read the Torah and hear what it says directly from the book. That's not the Torah, but we don't have to do that. It's just one person speaking.
Okay. Well, you have about 12% of the vote here, so that's a big voting
bloc. Only one person voted, and we're not taking a vote.
I would like to, as the president, I would like to do what Max had prepared.
That's fine. I would like to do that also. Thank you.
All right. Let's read a little bit of the Torah reading that we were going to do today, because and then we'll do a little Torah study too. So we're on page 660. So this is a combo parsha of Tazria and Metzora, and the reason it's so hard is because these are not the most.
I'm sorry that I said before because I thought it's the next parasha today. I studied the next parasha.
Which one is that?
Sorry, it's combined. It's both of them today.
So there's Tazria and Metzora.
The reason is because Israel is 1 week ahead of us because of Pesach.
Okay. All right. So let's,
So where are we?
we're on page 660.
60.
All right.
Someone is walking.
That's Bill. The elevator.
That sounds like Bill, so it still wouldn't make a minute. Unless his walker counts as a... All right. All right. So Steve, can you get us started on page 660?
Metsuba.
The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "This shall be the ritual for a leper at the time that he is to be purified. When it has been reported to the priest shall go outside the camp. If the priest sees that the leper has been healed of his scaly affection, the priest shall order 2 live pure birds, cedar wood, crimson stuff, and hyssop to be brought for him who is to be purified."
Okay. Let's just stop here for a second. So the first question is, what is this skin disease? So it's not Hansen's disease, the leprosy of, that put people into leper colonies. It was horrendously disfiguring. It was a scaly, dry skin, and we don't know what it is. We have no translation for it. So if we translated it as skin disease, which I have seen in some of the translations of the Torah, then it would be too vague. So they picked the term leprosy, but this kind of leprosy, the kind of skin disease that goes away for most people in a short period of time. And if you think that we don't know what this is, you have to go on to further reading, and you have the Torah of a beged. You can have a disease of a piece of clothing, and you can have it on the walls of your house, sort of like a mold or something like that. I'm not sure what they had in the desert. I would think the desert's pretty dry, but we don't know what it is. But it's the same term, Metzora, for the skin disease that you get, and for the disease that something that you see on clothing, and the disease of something you can see on a wall. So, and it's reversible in a short period of time. So, one of the concepts here is that we don't know what it is, we don't have it today, but it happens to people who motzi shem ra. They bring out a bad name. They say something bad about other people. So when Moses says to God, the people of Israel are going to not listen to me, and God says, turns his hand white, in a sense. Actually, it goes away in minutes. But it basically shows Moses that his hand, that God disapproves of his talking badly about God's own people. Then we have the other dramatic one, seems to be familial here, because it happens to Miriam. At the end of Parshat Bahalotcha, so that's going to be the first weekend of June, and Miriam and Aaron are gossiping about Moses. That's the concept. Motzi Shem Ra, they say something bad about another person, and they're talking about their brother, and they say, we're holy, he's holy, he acts like he's even holier than us. He's not good to his wife. He won't go near her, because then, in case God wants to talk to him, he wants to be ritually pure, so he won't even go close to his wife. And so they're basically gossiping about him, and they're saying, you know, God talks to us too. And Miriam is the one that seems to be the bigger gossiper in a sense, and she is the one whose skin turns white, and she does go outside the camp, and the people of Israel do not move on because she's very beloved by the people of Israel. Also, she's very beloved because because on her benefit there was always a well. They always, whenever they moved to the next place, there was always a well. So so she's basically the source of their water, and they knew that she was the source of this. So, but Miriam also has this temporary skin disease that goes away after about a week or so. Hansen's disease, where we have leper colonies, doesn't go away in a week. All right. Need another reader?
Michael.
Sentence 5 at the bottom of 660.
Shall order one of the birds slaughtered over fresh water in an earthen vessel, and he shall take the live bird along with the cedar wood, the crimson stuff, and the hyssop, and dip them together with the live bird in the blood of the bird that was slaughtered over the fresh water. He shall then sprinkle it 7 times on him who is to be purified of the eruption, and purify him. And he shall set the live bird free in the open country. The one to be purified shall wash his clothes.
Okay, can we just stop here? Set the live bird free in the open country. Does it sound like anything that we do at any other time of the year?
That's what page we're on.
We're on page 661 in here.
The goat.
The goat, the scapegoat. So, you know, that's part of the Yom Kippur service. So there seems to be a little bit of a similarity here. Okay.
The one to be purified shall wash his clothes, shave off all his hair, and bathe in water, and shall be pure. After that he may enter the camp, but he must remain outside his tent 7 days. On the 7th day he shall shave off all his hair, head, beard, and eyebrows. When he has shaved off all his hair, he shall wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and he shall be pure. On the 8th day he shall take 2 male lambs without blemish, 1 ewe lamb in its first year without blemish, and 3/10 of a measure of choice flour with oil mixed in for a grain offering, and 1 log of oil. He shall be presented before the Lord to the man to be purified at the entrance of the tent of meeting by the priest who performs the purification.
That'll teach him to gossip. look what we put this poor guy through. But it's, you know, why are we doing this? Because it's a good lesson in a sense. If you see what happens when you gossip and you're afflicted by the skin disease and you have to go outside the community, and then you have to undergo all this ritual and pay for these sacrifices. You know, and look at the next one. The priest will take one of the male lambs and offer it with a log of oil as a reparation offering. You know, this is expensive. Boy, if I had to pay a few $100s every time I shot off my mouth, I would not have a 401k. I'd have to empty it out pretty quickly. But if you do it once or twice, I think you're going to learn your lesson. You're going to say, I think I should keep my mouth shut. So we do that because, you know, we all enjoy a little bit of gossip, and you know, we talk about that gossip kills 3 people in a sense, because it kills the person you're talking about, it kills the person that hears it, and it kills you as the speaker in a sense. It does damage to you in a sense. You know, if we talk about what Rabbi Akiva was talking about, these are you don't get punished for listening to gossip unless you pass it on, but you do get punished if you're the initiator of it. And so this is the moral lesson. The only thing I can think of that would make this worthy. Others would say, there's there's something medical about this, that the priest decides if this is really this particular disease, and they quarantine people. But that's the end of his medical stuff, in the sense, because he doesn't say, take this salve and rub it on it and it'll get better. He doesn't give you anything to do except to give you time to think about what you've done. So in a sense, you can say the Kohen, the priest, is the one who's diagnosing and treating. He's not treating, he's just diagnosing, in a sense. So any other thoughts about that?
It's interesting with the ritual shaving of hair.
Yeah.
When you read about what the Muslim terrorists did before 9/11, they shaved themselves. That came out to purify themselves.
Okay.
Which is interesting.
Well, we were neighbors. We picked up a lot of each other's stuff, in a sense. All right.
I don't know, when we read it, it's reminded me the mikveh.
Okay. I'm sure that V'rachatz at B'saro B'mayim, bathe his body in water that should be pure. That sounds like a mikveh type of situation.
The men, it's shaving. The women cut their nails and everything.
Right. Certainly to dunk in a mikveh, they try to, they tell you to, to cut the nails, because they want the water to go in everywhere, in a sense, and that the whole body gets dunked. We don't have that in other faiths to the same extent, except Mormons. Mormons do have a mikveh, in a sense. So, because I was in a Mormon temple, and like I said, I used the restroom, and then there was a door, and I had the suspicion, and I turned the door, and I'm looking at a swimming pool, and I said, "What's a swimming pool doing here?" And I said, "Oh, okay." And so they do have some sort of mikveh, not like we have the mikveh for women, to become purified after a period. But I know that that's part of their ritual. So that's the closest. Interestingly, that's the closest that we have to our mikveh.
Well, Baptists also.
But
I don't mikveh up on the bima.
What's that?
They have it up on the bima, a little mikveh.
I don't know.
When baby's baptized?
I think so.
Babies baptized them just a little, but they just splash them. They don't really dunk them.
It's not water that's running.
It's
standing
All right.
If you're already talking about why the Mormon has such a beautiful place in Israel, in Haifa, what is the relationship that made them buy this land and put the most beautiful thing in Israel?
It's a Mormon temple. They're all
Yeah, I know, but why
beautiful.
in Israel? What is the connection? We don't know.
Well, they think they are, I believe that they
descendants.
they believe the descendants of the 10 tribes or some such thing who came to the New World.
Yeah, they do. They think they were one of the tribes.
Who did that?
So, just wanted to spend a few more minutes in terms of Torah study, and I asked Joan what Saul talked about last week, and last week was the parsha on kosher animals, and I remembered that maybe 5 years ago, I'm making this up in terms of exactly how long ago, that I went to the West Springfield Mosque, and we were having a discussion about food, and it was a reconstruct. I couldn't find them.
We actually represented the synagogue for several years doing that. I gave it 2 years before you.
Okay.
3 years before you.
So last week's Parsha, really, Shemini, talked about the kosher animals. So I wanted to just bring out some of the things that I said, because somebody said to me from our congregation, they're not here at the moment, but from our congregation, they said, how come you're telling them this and nobody tells us what kashrut is about? And I said, well, I know why they won't talk to you about kashrut, because none of us are perfect in our kashrut, and everyone's going to feel a little uncomfortable when you're told what the kashrut laws are. And so rather than make people feel uncomfortable, we sort of skip it. And so I'm making up for what I promised 5 years ago, that if I had a chance I would talk a little bit about what I was telling the interfaith group. So basically, we know all of this. Don't mix milk and meat. An animal that we eat has to chew its cud and have split hooves. Fish have to have fins and scales. Lo tochal hadam im hanafesh. That we don't eat the blood with the flesh. We don't. That ki hadam hu hanafesh. The blood is the is the life of the animal, and so we either roast most of the blood out of the animal, or if you're going to eat it soon, or if you can't eat it immediately, we soak in salt. The salt draws some of the blood out. Number 2, you may slaughter. No nevela or treifa, things that are injured and killed in the wild. No roadkill, in a sense. No birds of prey. So this is the essence. Number 3, while many, including Maimonides, attribute health reasons for kashrut, we try to get away from such concepts. For example, if we eradicate the pork disease, trichinosis, will pork become kosher? And the answer is no. So if you say eating, Rambam says eating milk and meat, it clashes, it's not good for you. He was a physician, but as my mother always said, they eat milk with their meat, and they're bigger than we are. So we don't necessarily attribute health reasons to this. As the Muslim fellow said, a bag of potato chips and a can of Coke is halal. It's their form of kosher, but it's not health food. It's not a health food. So you can't say that if you keep kosher, if you keep halal, the Muslim side of it. It doesn't mean that you're eating healthy, in a sense. So you do this, for other reasons, as we're going to get to. So we have the term treif of something that's non-kosher, and they have the term haram, which is similar to our word cherem. If you put somebody in excommunication, you're judging someone as having done something bad. So they use the word haram not just for their equivalent of non-kosher Muslim foods, but also for behaviors. So if you charge interest, if you commit adultery, if you do things that are unkind to another person, that's also haram. It's forbidden. And that they integrated the food with your behavior, which is actually, like I said, we grew up next to each other. It's really more of a Jewish concept. So number 4, we focus on spiritual health. In the New Testament, Jesus is quoted as asking his followers to worry less about what comes out of their mouths, what comes into their mouths, and worry more about what comes out of their mouth. And it's so when did this, remember the New Testament was written way after Jesus was gone, and the belief in Jesus was that he was the Mashiach, he was the Messiah, and the initial attempts were to convince people that Mashiach had come, Messiah had come in the form of Jesus, and we have this new type of Judaism. So it was a sect of Judaism in a sense. After a while they realized Jews are 1% of the world. There's this whole 99% of the world that we could go after and convince to become followers of Jesus. My source for this is a writer who was born as an evangelical. He's a professor of theology. His name is Bart Ehrman, E-H-R-M-A-N. And Ehrman basically says that they had brilliant marketing. They said, number one, Jesus is God. And the Gospels basically try to, written later, tries to tell us that Jesus is Son of God. This whole concept of being a godlike character had greater interest by these non-Jews, and also take away the stuff that makes it a pain in the whatever to be a Jew. So circumcision, forget it. That was a good marketing move. Kosher, forget it. It's more important with what you say than what you take in. So all of this was what I'm calling marketing in a sense. I'm sure somebody that's a Christian would look at this and say, that's fighting words, that's not a very nice way to say it. It was the most brilliant thing that they ever did, because Christianity soon took over the world. So Rabbi Levi Yitzchak of Radisha disagrees. If there's no discipline concerning what one eats, if there are no forbidden foods, it's possible that one might become insensitive and careless about what one says. Because however way the trait enters you, it makes you less of a good person. More modern writer like David Blumenthal says, it's a way of cultivating the body habits that makes one a fit receptacle for the divine presence. It sensitizes one to the other laws of the Torah, to the spiritual message of Judaism. And Mordechai Kaplan, who's the founder of Reconstructionist Judaism, says that he talks about the universal Judaism. He used not a great word, he called it Catholic Judaism. It doesn't mean that we're becoming Catholics, it becomes universal, is what Catholic really means. So he says we're describing as a Mamlechet Kohanim V'Goy Kadosh, a nation of priests and holy people. We know that the priest in the in the Roman Catholic religion can't marry, for example. They've got restrictions. We all, and when you say, why do I have restrictions? Because not only is the first person called to the Torah, the Kohen, is that first person a priest, but we're all priests. Mamleches Kohanim V'Goy Kadosh. And so we're a nation of priests, and we can have restrictions on us. So kashrut is a component of preserving our uniqueness, a protection against assimilation, a means of guaranteeing Jewish survival. And one of his students, Milton Steinberg, takes Kaplan one step further. Our survival is important because we have the task of enriching the world by spreading our ethical and spiritual values. So you say it sounds like something, it sounds something so minor that I can't put a piece of cheese on top of my meat, but it makes us, in a sense, this nation of priests, where all priests have a little bit of something taken away from them. And then something we have much more recently, which we call eco-kashrut. It's a way of adding to or substituting for traditional kashrut. It includes not exploiting workers, not depleting the soil, being aware of the carbon footprint of our food. So this is you hear this term eco-kashrut. So this became very popular a dozen years ago or so. when there was a plant, a kosher slaughter plant in Iowa, was it? Postville? What's that?
I think so.
Postville, where the workers were exploited, the animals were not, there was such a strict production line that it wasn't humane slaughter. Somebody brought in a camera and showed that the animals were suffering as they were being killed. But the thing that Mr. Rubashkin went to jail for, and Mr. Trump just let him out of jail, is that he used undocumented workers. If you asked for overtime, you got fired. The worst of the worst of the worst, and basically he went to jail for a good number of years. Maybe a little bit of the overzealous prosecution. I'm not too sad that he was let out of jail, but some people think that the whole thing was completely unjust. I think it was just to say, if you exploited your workers, if you used undocumented workers, if you fudged your paperwork, and basically he was cheating the banks too. I don't think that that's the highest level of kashrut, and I'm sorry that some of my Lubavitch friends think that it was rather unjust. In the few seconds we have left, I want to point out two things that I studied recently with someone else. So on the back, text number 1, Orthodox rabbis warn of moral and spiritual dangers of eating meat. I think that that's interesting that these are Orthodox rabbis, obviously more modern Orthodox rabbis, that talk about the carbon footprint, that you have to feed your animals a ton of grass, and that they give up a lot of methane and they pollute the air, and even to the point, and there was an internal medicine meeting this month in April that said that people who eat a lot of meat end up with a lot of liver disease, and it's basically not that good for you on top of everything else. So it's interesting. I would have you read this. I have a website that you can get the full forward article. So that's an Orthodox point of view. And then this last one, the Sacred Table, is from a Reform writer. Interestingly, that there's not a lot from the conservative movement. The conservative movement came out with an idea that they should add something called a hechsher tzedek, a hechsher of righteousness. Not only is this food kosher, but that the workers weren't exploited or any of those things, and it went nowhere. And I don't know what that means. But this is a reform group that's basically saying, to what extent are dietary practices a useful measure of religious observance and ethnic identity? And again, it's the last thing I would expect from a reform movement. What aspects of eating connect us to God? And some of this is on the previous side. Judaism is the religion of action. Take some actions, follow some principles by shopping local. Use the farmer's market. Why the farmer's market? Why do I want something brought in 1,000 miles? Because all the gas that it took to get that food to me is great wastefulness. If you can come to a local farmer's market where the farmer had to drive 10 miles to get you the food, it makes a big difference.
It excludes the poor who cannot afford the farmer's market. We grow food in Iowa because it's cheaper to do it that way.
Yeah, I know it's not perfect, but you can talk about eating choices, moderation over excess, and look at foods and quantities, because we eat too much. Reflects your concern for the environment, for justice, health, and so on. So as you can see, the backside is not what I wrote, but that I got from some other sources. So I would hope that that gives you a little bit of thought about Kashrut, which was last week's parsha. But since this week's parsha was more about women who are unclean after they give birth and people that have skin diseases, I thought it would be more interesting to go this direction.
Thank you.
All right, and yes, I of course I missed some of the concepts of kashrut in here, but I didn't want to waste too much paper and end up with with wasting one thing to talk about another thing about wastefulness.
I wanted to ask you. I know that the Muslim, have kashrut. Are they eating milk and meat?
I think they do. It's not our kashrut. In other words, it's interesting.
No, it's only for the meat. I know that.
Yeah.
That's the reason I'm asking. They cooking milk and meat.
Yeah. No, I think that's not part of that's not part of what they're concerned about. All right. Well, we're up to the Ein Keloheinu.
182.
Thank you. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein Kemoheinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadoneinu, Mi Kemoheinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Keloheinu, No Del Adoneinu, No Del Malkeinu, No Del Moshienu,
Baruch Eloheinu,
Baruch Adoneinu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adoneinu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shektiru, Avoteinu, if you're able to, we rise on page 183 for the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tei kedula l'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu k'goyei ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpatot ha'adama, shelo samkelkeinu kahem, v'kol aleinu k'chol ha'olam, v'anachnu chorim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, l'fnei melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yosei La'aretz, u'Moshe Yikaro ha'shamayim Nimah, u'shmi ha'suzo, v'godei meromim, hu Eloheinu eino, eretz malkeinu efesu aso, ka'atu b'torato, v'yadata hayom v'hashevota el levavecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim nimah, v'yal haaretz v'itachat eino. Okay, go. Kakatu b'Torah Techad, and Yimlach li'olam v'oed, v'nei and Susan Marks, Zichronam Livracha. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 184. Yitgadal, v'yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, v'yomad, v'vrach Yerusei, v'yamlich Machusei, Chayechon, v'yomechon, v'chayech d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agolav, v'zman hariv, v'yamru, amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, v'vorach, v'yolam, v'omei Omaya, Yitvarach, v'yishabach, v'yitparar, v'yitromam, Yitnasei, v'yitadar, v'yithaleh, v'yithalal, Shemei v'kudsha b'rechu, la'elam imkol birchata, v'shivrata, tushbachata, v'nechamata, da'amiran v'yoma, v'yamru, amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabbah min Shemaya, v'chayim oleinu, v'yakol Yisrael, v'yamru, amen. Oseh Shalom b'Ramah, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Yakol Yisrael, Yamru, Amen. This has been the easiest month to know what day of the Omer it is, because the day of the Omer is actually exactly equivalent to the day of April that it is. So today is the 21st. Today's the 21st day of the Omer, making 3 weeks. You should say that yourselves and you get a mitzvah. Today is the 21st day of the Omer, making 3 weeks. All right, you get a mitzvah. Yes?
We read that if you forget for a day, you can't say the blessing. So
right.
We didn't say the blessing because we don't know.
Well, we can't. You can say the blessing if you do it at night, but if you do it during the day, you do it without a blessing, but tonight you can do it with a blessing. So if you're really uninterrupted and have never missed it, and I can't say I'm one of those that didn't miss it, then you can continue with the bracha. So, but it's the bracha is at night, so that you're acknowledging the full 24 hours. So, Joan, are you going to speak after me or before me?
Why don't I speak now and then
Okay.
go into it from down along. Firstly, Max, thank you very much for a very thoughtful Torah session. That was very interesting. We've got lots of excitement. Tomorrow morning, beginning at 11 o'clock, we will be celebrating Israel's 70th birthday, several days late, but we're doing well. We have assembled a panel, and I am now free to say that one of the panel members will be Nitza, and she will be talking about growing up in Israel around the time of 1948 when Israel became an official country. And I for one, am looking forward very much to hearing that. We then have Cantor Barnoon, who will be talking about his experiences as a member of the IDF in the '67 war. Our next speaker is a man named Jake Greenberg. He lives in Northampton. And he was in Israel on a kibbutz in 1973. And I haven't heard what he's going to say. He's only given me little snippets of it. But he wants to talk about his journey to Israel, how he came to be there in 1973, and then also what happened in the 10 years that he lived there beyond that. So each of these people should be really interesting. The last speaker is, I keep teasing her, she's the product of a mixed marriage. Her name is Ayelet, and her father is Israeli, her mother is from Long Island. But she has spent a lot of her childhood in Israel, and at the time that she graduated from high school, she made the decision to go to Israel as an Israeli, and to train in the IDF. And that's what she did. She spent 2 years as an Israeli training in the IDF, last night, we saw her last night because we went to the Hillel House for dinner, and that's where she lives. And she was telling me that the most frustrating part of being there in a few years ago was that they made her attend. They made her attend the Ulpan. She's been speaking Hebrew since she was born, but apparently they have an advanced Ulpan for people like her. But she says it wasn't advanced enough, and she was complaining about that. But I think she's going to be delightful. And we've asked her from the perspective of someone in their early 20s who is living in both places to give some of her personal reflections about what Israel means to her. So I'm very excited about this program. I think it's going to be really working out to something great. And it's, as usual, it will end with a wonderful lunch. I'm excited about the lunch. The lunch, because we're doing this as a joint program with Rodfi, we've had the lunch catered at Crown, except for one surprise dish that I'm not going to talk about. You have to come and eat it. Was suggested by Ayelet. So the Ayelet surprise dish is something that every Israeli is eating now. So you'll have to come and see what that is. So that's tomorrow. Tomorrow, beginning at 11, we'll begin with the talk, and then we'll go into lunch. And we should be finished by around 1:30. So please come and bring friends and let everybody know. We tried to get the word out. And there's a lot of competition out there tomorrow, but I think we're going to have a decent crowd. On Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, the 24th, will be the Holocaust Memorial at the Holyoke Senior Center. Eve Sartori will be speaking. She's Polish and was sent to Russia during the war, so she's going to be talking about her experiences, and that's at 6:45. This coming Wednesday, the 25th, this Wednesday, is the last day to order chocolate. So if you have not put your order in yet, please make sure that you do if you want it. And this will be the last day. If you need help in terms of scanning over an order form, you can always call Elaine. There's a phone on the flyer. There's a phone number on the flyer, but if you want to do it by computer, we'll help you scan it in. When you scan in, the reason I'm saying this is with the Wednesday is the deadline. When you scan it in, the computer sends your home computer back a way to pay for it with your credit card. So you could do that immediately. If you're going to be sending it in by mail, you need to do it very soon because it has to be paid for. She will not take orders that are not paid for. A week from tomorrow, next Sunday, at the 29th, we have the sincere honor of hosting Jane Yolen and Barbara Diamond Golden, who are two world-renowned authors. They have written a book together called Meet Me at the Well, and it is a book about Jewish women in history and in the Torah and the Tanakh. So we're really looking forward to them as well. On Shabbat, May 5th, I know I'm going ahead a little, but I want you to be aware of these dates. On Shabbat of May 5th, we have a baby naming here. Isaka Axelrod and Peter Cologne have had their twins, and Lara, the girl, will be named here on May 5th, and you'll get to meet a lot of Isaka's family. I think some of Peter's family here may be here as well, so that should be lovely. On Saturday, May 19th, at about 8 o'clock or so, we will be having our annual Shavuot celebration with discussions on the Talmud and lots of ice cream and maybe cheesecake. So that will be, and you'll be seeing me around with the sign-up sheet for portions for you to do. And I just wanted to add one date. The board is thinking very, very seriously of having our annual meeting on Wednesday evening, June 13th, beginning early, beginning maybe around like 6:30, so that we would be finished by 9:30. We have been finding it impossible to find a Sunday that enough board members would be available to attend. So we're trying the Wednesday, and I'm going around asking people to see if they would, one, if they come to the annual meeting at all, and two, if they would come on a Wednesday evening. Steve?
I'm looking at my calendar now and I see there is another thing scheduled right here that night, which doesn't have to conflict with it, but you should know about it. That's the next. There's something set for Michaela here that night, not a performance, but a meeting.
Oh, that wouldn't conflict. They haven't ever conflicted with us. Yeah, they can come down and join us for some refreshments if they're always invited. So, we can talk about this downstairs if you have any comments on it. But that is what I'm going around and asking people if they could come on a Wednesday. So, Shabbat Shalom to everyone, and Adon Olam.
It's on page 187. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chefsa Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei Kiflotako Levado Yimlot Nara V'hu Haya V'hu Haveh V'hu Yiyeh V'tifara V'hu Echad V'yein Sheni V'hamshil Lo V'hapira V'li Reishit V'li Tachlit V'lo Ha'oz V'hamisra V'hu Eli V'chai Goali V'tzur Chevli V'eitzara V'hu Nisi Umanosli Minat Kosi V'yom Ekra V'yado Akid Ruchi V'yeti Shan V'yayira V'imruchi V'yashi Adonai Li V'lo Ira. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Very good, Max.
Shabbat Shalom.